Good morning, everyone. Before I start, the Sierra giveaway is still live until midnight tonight, and you can still get some tickets until midnight tonight. The meet is tomorrow, starts at 12, it ends till late whenever. I've changed my mind with saying it's going to be at 5:30, the actual giveaway. We're actually going to do it around 1:30, 3 o'clock-ish. I feel like a lot of people have told me that like 5:30 is just way too late and everyone wants to go home by then. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. Going to be doing it in the middle of the day. Hoping it's really busy, but it is tomorrow. Once again, don't have to apply, don't have to pay. You can turn up on the day. Everything on my Instagram. There will be a live stream happening at the time. Thank you very much. This video is not about the Sierra. However, I just thought I'd nip that in the bud right now because you might be wanting to find out a little bit more. So yeah, hopefully see a lot of you tomorrow. Come get a sticker of me, Gresswells sticker in my pocket. Come get one, I'll give you one. Sound. Thank you very much. In regards of what's going on in this video today, well, I've had one of those weeks where just nothing has happened, and basically I was trying to get a video done on this little thing here, and nothing really went to plan. Just the things that I had planned, I filmed, I tried to film, things didn't work, tried to work around it, it just didn't work out. And it's back to the drawing board slightly on that one, so it's quite annoying, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'll talk about it in another video at one point, but today we're going to be doing some work on Jack's Datsun. It's been here for ages. I didn't mean to hit it so hard there, I do apologise. Yeah, I'm trying to mount the engine today. Here's the engine, little 12A, ported, bop, does all that. We've got our gearbox here, which is out of an RX-7. We've got to put our clutch on here, mate this together, find some bolts that actually fit into here, and then obviously put the shifter in. And the plan is to get the engine in from underneath, take this subframe out, get that out of the way, and then the engine's going to come underneath. We're going to build a cross brace that comes from the chassis around to here, and that's the front engine mount there. And basically we're going to build off that and come outwards. We need to basically start off by getting the gearbox on, and then when we can get the shifter actual handle, like this bit here, once we get that shifter in the middle of the factory placement on the Datsun, we then know where and how to make our front mount. And the subframe is literally just going to be floating underneath. The subframe's not actually going to touch the rotary. We might have to notch the subframe, but it's not going to be anything to do with these engine mounts here. We're not using those, so yeah, I'm going to get this all together, get the flywheel on and the starter motor, and yeah, get it all sorted. Right, after much screaming and swearing, the gearbox is on, everything works. I've got the shifter in there now. I can go into first, second, third, all of that. We're all good. Now, plan for here is to get this in and up into the bottom of the car. But we need to make sure it is level, which is why I've got these lovely bits of wood here. Check it properly. Got my level box, so I've already leveled this out, so you've got to basically hold it on there. And you basically want that to read 0, like that. And that's where your drive shaft goes into the gearbox. So that way you know that the drive shaft's at a nice level angle. So when we put the engine up dead straight into the bottom of the car, we know that the engine's not this way or that way. You might have heard people talking about pinion angle before, and this is exactly what it is. So that being zeroed out at the back of the gearbox where the drive shaft goes into, that needs to be the same on the back where the diff angle is. So where your diff angle is, you want that to be set at 0 as well, which you do need to measure with a lot of load on the diff. So obviously the diff is now at sort of like kind of drive height. I can't lift it up too much as it will just sort of pick the car up basically. There, I'll give or take. It's not going to be accurate to this. This car has been modified already. It's got a 5-link system under it instead of leaf springs, I do believe. So this is not factory because when it was on hydraulics, all of this got changed. And as you can see, I'm loading the diff up as well. So yeah. One other thing to note is that the car has to be level on the ramp to get an accurate reading, which this is already. I've already checked. So, a little bit of explaining to do, right? So here, right here is where the gearbox usually mounts up to on an RX-7. Now, this distance from here to the shifter, let's go to the other one, is a lot bigger on that one than this one. So this is where the mount is to the shifter. That's 5 inches, and that's about 8. So what I'm going to do now is obviously I've taken the cradle off of that gearbox, which is here. Now this is the mount that came off the old engine. Take that out. That is 2 M8s there. This is the RX-7 one, and they're actually M10, so they're not going to go in there. However, they are in line with each other. So I will get this on there like that. That centers the plate. And then from there, I know that the center of the plate is center to the gearbox. That makes sense? I think it makes sense. If this video comes out awful, it really is reflective on the day I'm having, or the week I'm having. I've just snapped that bolt in here, in the bottom of the gearbox. So now I've got to drill it out underneath here and cry. This is literally the vibe of this week. Nothing has gone right at all. 1 hour later, drilled out, nut and bolted. Let's continue once more. My entire week has been like this. Do this, doesn't work. Do this, doesn't work. Do this is broken. Do this. It's getting boring this week. See this engine, right? That's really far forward, if I'm honest. And it's not very high, like it's literally hanging out the bottom of the car. That's the shifter poking through the chassis. Like, the gearbox is hard up against the tunnel. And the casting of the gearbox is obviously touching the tunnel. Which now means it needs cutting a lot to get that to fit in there. That is like a whole new tunnel around it. What am I gonna do with this video? This video is never gonna work. The video is just gonna be never finished. Like, doing that's fine. It's a lot of work though. You know what I mean? It's not I'll get it done by tomorrow night. You know what I mean? Right, enough. The benefit to this being a nightmare is that when we cut the tunnel out, we can then bring the shifter further back, and then from there we can use the original mount that's holding the gearbox together. We can literally just put that in the correct place that it came from factory, and then wherever the shifter lands is wherever the shifter lands, which by looking at it is about 3 inches further back. And from there, we can then obviously build a tunnel around the gearbox, and then the engine should be in the right place, and we don't have to build our gearbox cradle then because it's already bolted up into the factory position, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the benefit of this. The second not good benefit of it is that we've got to make a whole new tunnel to, you know, fit the gearbox. Rotaries are naturally gearbox high, so we've seen other people put these rotaries in these cars before. We just didn't think that they needed that. Right, interior is out. Next day, by the way. Obviously, as I said before, we're going to move the gearbox, etc. back. Now, where that shifter is now, it probably wants to come to about here, just quite close to the handbrake, but we're thinking that we're going to put a shifter that comes out like that and swoops back to put it into the factory feeling, but it would actually come out just back here. So that's what we're thinking. If not, we might have to lose the handbrake and stuff and come through there. From here, I think I'm just going to cut the top of the tunnel out just here, see where we land, and try and get that gearbox mount. As you can see there, it's nearly in line with that brace just here, and that just needs to line up to that. So we're nearly in line, to be fair. There's a penis on the floor. Well, no going back now, I guess. The steering wheel's in the way. Aha, there we go. Cut a little bit out at a time, then we can go down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And now I can actually mount the gearbox from here because I can reach the mount. That's clever. Right, okay, so I see an issue, a big one. That tunnel needs to be cut back here. Obviously, that's not the problem I'm looking at here. It's this problem here, where the drive shaft is very close. Like, if you put a drive shaft in there, it's going to hit this part of the tunnel. Oh dear. It's pretty much sat on the gearbox cradle mount down here. Obviously, you can't see that. I think what I'll do is I'll cut a bit of section out here where this shift rod comes and then see where we stand. But yeah, this bit here, it's not happy. It's all up and involved again. So let me get the Sharpie out. I think I'll just get a tiny little notch on there. Right, okay, so this is now on the mount, lower down. I could technically bolt the gearbox end up now, and just a tiny little bit of trim in there, and we'd be all good, right? Let me show you something. The engine is still hanging out the bottom of the car. It quite literally needs the entire tunnel cutting out. That is ridiculous. Position-wise, you know, it's good. Like it is good where it's sat. Like it's nice here-ish. Once it goes up, obviously the gearbox bell housing will be, you know, quite close to there. What we do need to account for is the radiator, but I'm pretty happy with where it's sat. Ish. I mean, there is some room there. There will be a fan on there. Obviously, it might want to come back a little touch. Pretty happy with that positioning. It just needs to go up so much, and that's a whole tunnel out job, I think. Right, so radiator's in. We're going to run an electric fan. It's going to be tight, but I think like it's going to be just enough room. Otherwise, the shifter's going to be so far back, and the handbrake is going to be all up and involved and stuff like that. The shifter's in a nice position now. If we have to go any further back, like we'd have to move the seat back and everything. So that is a nice position. We can go straight up from here. And we do need to remove this handbrake because that is in the way. We'll try and put this back on another time, but higher up, because this section of the tunnel is also going to have to be, you know, lifted up as well. So yeah, this is fun. The heater box has all got to come out, the whole thing. That didn't sound very good. Let's take all this fire hazard out of the way. We're a lot closer there. Now, let's have a look, see how high the engine is. Oh, we're getting somewhere. I mean, we definitely have some more room to go. That's not good enough. Damn it. We've still got some more room to go. I'm gonna have to take the engine out, lift it up higher, because the trolley is, well, it's touching the chassis rail down here again, so yeah, we've got to cut some more out. As fun as this job is, you have to just keep cutting more and more and more and more out. It's like, oh, it's a bit daunting, but it'll be all right. But this video is going to be a bit rubbish, because all it is me cutting some stuff out and figuring out. But I know a lot of you quite enjoy the figuring out process. And to be honest, I'm figuring out as well, because I haven't done this before. I'm just winging it, to be honest, but got Jack's trust, so that's all right. It's on the trolley now, so I've got to raise the engine up, like I said. But that's a lot more clearance. Bit of musical wood, engine's raised right up. Let's try again. It might be easier for me to cut it from the bottom here, but the way I'm looking at it is that I feel like I'm going to end up coming out to here anyway. And then I'm going to have to clearance for this bit here. Like just here, I don't know. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's what we're going to do in this episode. Getting somewhere. Right. Obviously, like I said, I think I'm going to have to cut right up to the top of that, like, bell housing area. As you can see, the prop shaft is well involved with the tunnel there. So we're going to have to cut that out at some point. Let's have a look. Sump to clearance to engine-wise. Okay. It's looking sort of normal-ish at home. However, you can see this sump is still so low. And obviously, the engine mount, which is here, we want to mount that on the top of this chassis rail here. Probably want to come up another like 2-3 inches. This is nuts. I'm going to cut the rest of that bell housing out now with the car up on the ramp, because it's going to be easier than crawling underneath the dash. This would have been so much easier to repair the engine bay like this. That's why I need another ramp. If a ramp company wants to send me another ramp, that would be great, because it's ruining my workflow having one ramp. Because these cars need to move to get the cash flow in on the business every week. So the ramp is always in use, but when you have a big project like this and it doesn't move, and you can't use the ramp, it's an issue. I don't know, little side quest there, there you go. Engine looks sort of home right now, doesn't it? I don't mind it. Obviously, if you look inside, this is wild. The gearbox is all up in there, and to be honest, my personal preference, I would like it to come up another inch, because the sump would be high enough at this point. So if you look here, the sump is slightly lower than the well, Yeah, it probably wants to come up an inch. That's what I'm trying to say here. So I'm gonna cut a bit more out of that bulkhead. Or just open it up all the way around. Get up a little bit more, and I think we're happy with that. The further we go back, the less room we're gonna have for an exhaust, because this is the next problem. The exhaust comes out here, and the steering box is also here. So this either big issue. I had a little thought that we might be able to come around here and around there, but that would make the radiator extremely hot unless we mount the radiator back into here. We might be able to cut the support out, bring the whole radiator through the back of here, because obviously there's a lot of room here. You know what I mean? There's a lot of room behind that bit, so maybe we'll cut that out and bring the radiator back, and that's happy there. You know, I'd love to move the engine further back, but then, you know, it would be back here for the shifter and it wouldn't be comfortable, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I can't believe how much we've cut out already. We didn't think we'd have to cut much out at all. It's fair to say that it's in the car now. It's just ridiculous. What's the sump looking like? Okay, now I'm happy. Like, that's pretty much as low or high as we really need it, to be honest. Obviously, we've got the depth of the subframe, so this should just be above the subframe right now. Right. I'm sat on the ball. That's better. Anyway. Right. So, I've noticed that I tried my gearbox crossmember on this way round. So, therefore, no. I had it on this way. So when it bolts into the car, it's obviously pushed the engine forward. So if I flip it 180, that then pulls the engine back ever so slightly, and we still get to use the original holes. Now, which will obviously bring our engine back just a smidge, which will be absolutely perfect, I think, because at the minute we're looking a bit EP3-ish. Anyway, because there's a massive hole in the tunnel, I can actually just go like this and mount the engine mount underneath the crossmember, like so. And then once that is mounted, I can then measure the distance between this surface and the bottom of the engine mount to see how much of an engine raise we need to do on this transmission mount here. I might make a spacer for now, which sits in there and basically lifts the whole transmission up. And then once the front engine mount is sorted, I can then sort this out and make it a little bit prettier, because at the minute, I can't get underneath, and getting it in from here is a bit awkward. Just want to get the gearbox mounted so it can support itself. And then I can lift the ramp up and work on it like a normal human without crawling around on the floor. So that's my plan. $150mm, 6 inches, man. That's nuts. Here's our temporary engine raise gearbox situation. Right, shifter in, gearbox mounted for now. Tunnel, need to trim a bit more. Clearance down there, decent. Clearance around there, decent. We've got the engine supported with this lovely bit of rope, and yeah, that's how I'm going to lift the engine up. I've got no other way of really doing it. This has not worked. I thought that was going to work. Holy shit. Bit of an 8mm plate. Hopefully that holds it. Nice. Oh, that's solid, mate. That's solid. It's in. It's in. The engine is under there, under its own weight. I mean, it's not really held up with anything. However, it's a start, but it's at a point now where I can start properly positioning it and mocking things up and seeing what fits and all that sort of stuff. But I'm happy with that. Obviously got this underneath there just to support it, just in case. Strip that subframe down, cut those engine mounts off, and yeah, I'll get the subframe back on. That subframe actually hung down a lot more than I was anticipating, so it's good and annoying. We haven't lost much, but yeah, we're gonna basically bring this down to like here, so like an inch lower than it actually is already. So we've got plenty of clearance to the sump and, well, to be honest, exhaust clearance as well. Give or take, a couple of shimming up, a couple of this, couple of that. It's close. Obviously it's not the finished product, but that's all mock-up, so happy with where it is. Luckily I didn't cut too much. That was, well, I've dropped it 2 inches, basically, 50mm, and I thought I was gonna have to cut a little bit more anyway, but the amount that's like showing there is like perfect amount to have a little bit of room around the gearbox for any jolting and stuff. And yeah, so we can weld a tunnel back in from there. But the engine's obviously been dropped. Engine's in like nearly perfect positioning really, because we can get a fan on there. Obviously we can still get to our bell housing situation. I think we'll be able to decompress the clutch fully without having to modify the bulkhead there. Shifter in a nice place, and if you go underneath here, the engine is probably like 1.5 inches above the subframe, so that's like the perfect position now. And obviously I've had it leveled out from the old level box, which is there you go, boom, there you go. And yeah, happy with where it's sat. I can now from there build a sort of a cross brace that comes off of there, and then straight to this chassis rail and straight to that chassis rail. The only other thing I need to double check before I do that is when I lift it up on the ramp, I need to get one of those like laser line levels that go from the tail end of the gearbox to the diff, and like you put it on the floor so you can make sure everything's in line lengthways, if that makes sense. I think the next video of this will be me obviously making the front mount and then redoing the rear mount, and then after that it'll be figure out where the tunnel needs to go, because that's quite a lot of work we've got going on there. Definitely more work than me and Jack both anticipated, but committed now, aren't we? Thank you for watching. Tomorrow is the meet. Remember, tomorrow is the meet. I'm gonna be there from 12 onwards, so come see me, probably like 2:30, 3 o'clock, we'll announce the winner of the Sierra. But yeah, live stream on Gresswells Instagram of the giveaway. I'll make sure everything is all prepared, and I'll have people helping me at the same time, because I can't do multiple things at the same time. So yeah, I'm rambling now. This video is probably really long anyway, but thanks for watching. Goodbye.